The history of the American people spans thousands of years, beginning with the indigenous peoples who inhabited the land long before European settlers arrived. Here's an overview of key events in U.S. history. 1. Pre-colonial era before 1492. Native American tribes lived across the continent, developing distinct cultures, languages, and technologies. Some major groups included the Iroquois in the northeast, the Sioux on the Great Plains, and the ancestral Pueblones in the southwest. 2. Age of Exploration, 1490 to 1607. Christopher Columbus' arrival in the Caribbean in 1492 marked the beginning of European exploration. Over the next century, explorers from Spain, France, and England made their way to the Americas, establishing colonies. 3. Colonial America 1607 to 1776. The first permanent English settlement, Jamestown, was founded in 1607-13. English colonies were established along the eastern seaboard. These colonies grew through trade, agriculture, and a reliance on enslaved African labor. 4. American Revolution, 1775 to 1783. Tensions between the American colonies and Britain over issues like taxation without representation led to the Revolutionary War in 1781. The British were defeated and the United States of America was born. 5. Constitution and Early Republic, 1787 to 1820s. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was written, establishing the framework for the federal government. George Washington became the first president, and the young nation faced challenges like westward expansion, foreign relations, and the issue of slavery. 6. Civil War 1865. Tensions over slavery and states' rights led to the Civil War between the Union Northern states and the Confederacy Southern states. The Union's victory abolished slavery and preserved the United States as a single nation. 7. Reconstruction and Industrialization, 1865 to 1900. After the Civil War, the U.S. underwent Reconstruction, attempting to integrate the Southern states back into the Union and provide rights to freed African Americans. The late 19th century saw rapid industrialization, urbanization, and the growth of the economy. 8. World Wars and the Great Depression 1914–1945. The U.S. participated in both World War I and World War II, emerging as a global superpower after the latter. The 1930s Great Depression caused widespread economic hardship, but the New Deal, led by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, helped the nation recover. 9. Cold War era 1947 to 1991. After World War II, the U.S. entered into a rivalry with the Soviet Union, known as the Cold War. This era saw the rise of nuclear weapons, the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and the Civil Rights Movement, which pushed for racial equality. 10. Post-Cold War to present, 1991 present. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of the Cold War. The U.S. became the sole global superpower. Since then, the nation has faced challenges like terrorism 9/11. End of the Cold War 1991. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of the Cold War. The U.S. emerged as the world's sole superpower, leading to shifts in foreign policy and international relations. The Gulf War 1990–1991 saw the U.S. lead a coalition to liberate Kuwait from Iraqi occupation. To economic prosperity. The 1990s saw a period of economic growth driven by technological advancements, particularly the rise of the internet and the dot-com boom. President Bill Clinton's administration benefited from a budget surplus, low unemployment, and a booming stock market. 3. Impeachment of Bill Clinton, 1998. President Clinton was impeached by the House of Representatives over charges related to his extramarital affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. He was acquitted by the Senate and completed his second term. 2000s, terrorism, war, and the financial crisis. 1. 2000 presidential election. The 2000 election between George W. Bush and Al Gore was one of the most contentious in U.S. history. It was ultimately decided by a Supreme Court ruling after a recount in Florida, giving Bush the presidency. 2. September 11, 2001. Attacks. The 9/11s, terrorist attacks, orchestrated by Al-Qaeda, resulted in the deaths of nearly 3,000 people. The U.S. responded with the War on Terror, launching military operations in Afghanistan to dismantle Al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban from power. 3. The Iraq War 2003. The U.S. invaded Iraq, citing the threat of weapons of mass destruction (WMDs). Although no such weapons were found, the war led to significant loss of life, both American and Iraqi, and created long-term instability in the region. 4. Great Recession, 2007 to 2009. The housing market crash, fueled by subprime mortgages and risky financial practices, triggered the Great Recession. It led to widespread unemployment, the collapse of major financial institutions, and massive government bailouts. President Barack Obama's administration passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act to address the economic crisis. 2010. Political polarization and social movements. 1. Election of Barack Obama 2008 and 2012. Barack Obama became the first African American president in 2008. His administration passed the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, in 2010, aimed at expanding health care coverage. Obama was re-elected in 2012, defeating Mitt Romney. 2. Political polarization. The 2010s saw increasing political divisions in the U.S. with partisan conflict between Democrats and Republicans. Issues such as healthcare, immigration, climate change, and economic inequality dominated debates. 3. Social movements. The 2010s saw significant movements like Black Lives Matter, advocating for racial justice, and #MeToo, addressing sexual harassment and assault. LGBTQ+ rights made significant strides, including the legalization of same-sex marriage in 2015 through the Supreme Court, ruling in Ober